Updated February 22, 2019, 9 hours 3 minutes and 40 seconds. The claim housing affordability has become a lightning rod for complaints of growing economic inequality in Australia, a key theme in federal Labor's pitch for the 2019 election. In a lengthy January press release, Shadow Treasurer Chris Bowen laid out his party's case for reducing or removing particular tax concessions. Specifically, negative gearing and capital gains tax discounts, that he said were pushing homeownership beyond the reach of many. Mr. Bowen went on to claim, ownership rates for young people aged 25 to 34 have spiraled downwards in recent years from 60% to 48%. Is he correct? Our MITABC fact check takes a look. The verdict: Mr. Bowen's claim is in the ballpark. What counts as recent is debatable, but, given the typical pace of change in the housing market, Fact Check has assessed the last 10 years of ownership rates. None of these rates match the exact figures cited by Mr. Bowen, nor do they clearly show the equivalent 20% drop. But they do reveal large declines in ownership for 25 to 34-year-olds over the last decade or so. Based on 3 datasets that use different methodologies and span different years, these falls ranged from 12% over 10 years to 28% over 12 and 13 years. Experts said young people's ownership rates have been declining for decades, and told Fact Check that falls in the last decade were comparable to those in the mid to late 1980s and early 1990s. Where's the data? Experts told Fact Check that the most reliable source for home ownership data was the Australian Bureau of Statistics Biennial Survey of Income and Housing. These experts were Rachel Ong, Professor of Economics with Curtin University, Judith Yates, an economist and Associate Professor with Sydney University, and Terry Burke, Professor of Housing Studies with Swinburne University. The ABS also collects ownership data through its 5-yearly census. In 2015, the Bureau told a parliamentary inquiry that its survey data was the more appropriate source for home ownership statistics, but said the census results were comparable. The Melbourne Institute's Household Income and Labour Dynamics of Australia (HILDA) survey also produces ownership rates, though these aren't directly comparable with ABS data due to differing collection methods. Each dataset had its drawbacks, experts said. For example, the census records high rates of non-response on household tenure questions, whereas the 2 surveys canvass only part the population. And while the census covers a longer period than the surveys, it is also less frequent. Measuring ownership in his press release, Mr. Bowen referred to both purchasing and owning, and also owner-occupiers and first-home buyers. On that basis, Fact Check takes his claim about ownership rates to include more than just owner-occupiers. But the different datasets only count owner-occupiers as homeowners. So they miss, for example, a young person who lives and rents in Melbourne but owns a house in the cheaper market of Hobart. Each dataset includes homeowners with a mortgage. Complicating matters, there is more than one way to measure ownership. The census collects ownership data for households, a measure Dr. Yates told Fact Check was relevant for decision-making in the housing market. To produce ownership rates, the ABS selects a single reference person for each household and applies their tenure status to the other occupants aged 15 and above. However, Professor Ong explained that this method doesn't accurately reflect ownership rates by individuals, as it inflates rates for young adults. You're classifying lots of young people as homeowners just because they are living with their parents, she said. Professor Roger Wilkins, Deputy Director of the Melbourne Institute, also told Fact Check, estimates of home ownership rates of 25 to 34-year-olds are quite sensitive to whether you define them as homeowners if they live in an owner-occupied home, as is conventionally done. For example, when using census data, or you define them as homeowners if they are the legal owners of the home in which they live, which is more accurate. Unlike the ABS household measure, the latter measure of individual, legal ownership treats adult children and their parents independently. HILDA measures this, but only every 4 years. Professor Ong said HILDA's method was probably the most accurate. She has also calculated ownership rates using unpublished, detailed data from the ABS Survey of Income and Housing. Her analysis also treats parents and their adult children separately. Fact check considers individual ownership rates to be the more accurate measure. However, it is reasonable to use household ownership rates, however imperfect, in policy discussions about the housing market. Indeed, the Reserve Bank is just one organization to do this. On that basis, Fact Check has considered 3 datasets: the census, HILDA, and analysis of ABS survey data. It's not clear what Mr. Bowen meant when he said rates had tumbled in recent years, but other parts of his statement suggest he may have been talking in decades. Mr. Bowen wrote, for example, that young people were being forced to take on debts unimaginable just a few decades ago. He also said tax concessions had fueled a property boom in recent years, and contended that the capital gains discount had accelerated claims significantly. This discount was introduced in 1999. Dr. Yates told Fact Check that, given the subject, a few decades wasn't a long time. You really do have to take 20 and 40-year horizons when you're talking about something as long-lived as housing, she said. Importantly, though, Mr. Bowen made his claim in the context of a looming election when the coalition has held office for the last 6 years. So, taking into account the political timeline and the typical pace of change in the market, Fact Check considers 10 years to be the most appropriate measure. The data says Mr. Bowen said ownership rates for 25 to 34-year-olds had slipped from 60% to 48%, a fall of 20%, or 12 percentage points. To assess this, Fact Check has analyzed household rates drawn from census data and also individual rates drawn from ABS and HILDA surveys. Household data from the census shows that young people have not seen ownership rates of 60% since 1986. They were close to 48% in 2011. Looking at Fact Check's assessment of recent years, in the last 10 years the household rate fell from 51% to 45% in 2016, a drop of 12%. Household home ownership rates, 1961 to 2016, census data year 25 to 34 years, 35 to 44 years, 45 to 54 years, 55 to 64 years, 65 years, 196160727578881 196618711767177980197660737678785198161781617579817581986587478198657981747981657 A source: analysis of ABS data, supplied by the Reserve Bank 1961 to 2011, and AIHW 2016. Professor ONG's analysis of ABS survey data shows individual ownership rates for 25 to 34-year-olds have generally been much lower. Available from 1982, her figures reveal a 41% drop across the 3 decades to 2015. The closest the rates get to Mr. Bowen's 60% figure was in 1982, and the last time they were near 48% was in 2002. As there is no rate calculated for the year 2005, the figures do not allow for an exact 10-year comparison. But in the 8 years from 2007 to 2015, ownership rates fell by 15%. From 2002 to 2015, or 13 years, they dropped 28%. Individual home ownership rates, 1982 to 2015, analysis of ABS survey data, unpublished, year 25 to 34 years, 35 to 44 years, 45 to 54 years, 55 to 64 years, 65 years, 19825757882791996437181802000457079838220024666980828120073964758208281200758208281200746582082812007465820828120074658208281200746582082812007465820828120074658208281200746582082812007465820828120074658208281200746582082812007465820828120074658208281200746582082812007465820828120074658208281200746582082812007465820828120074658208281200746582082812007465820828120074658208281200746582082812007465820828120074658208281200 Source: Analysis of ABS Survey of Income and Housing, supplied by Professor Ong Hilda's rates for legal home ownership among 25 to 34-year-olds confirm sizable drops across its 12 years of data. Between 2002 and 2014, ownership rates fell by 28% in total. The last 8 years recorded a 19% drop, most of which occurred between 2010 and 2014. Legal ownership of home, 2002 to 2014, from Hilda Survey year legal owners, 25 to 34 years, percent, change per year 200,000 240, 40.4, 200,000 636, 36.1, minus 4.3, minus 1.12011036, 35.7, minus 0.4, minus 0.12014229, 29.1, minus 6.6, minus 1.7 Source: Hilda, supplied by the Melbourne Institute. A long-term decline. Professor Burke told Fact Check that analysis by his team had identified a decline similarly sized to that claimed by Mr. Bowen, albeit over the last 30 years. Within that time there had been two main contractions, Professor Burke said, covering the decade to 1991 and the decade to 2016. He agreed that the more recent drop was a historically large decrease, but it has been consistently down over time, he said, adding that, it's been a long-term process. Sydney University's Dr. Yates has previously written for The Conversation that the decline in ownership rates was not a recent issue. For a long time young people have found it difficult to purchase their first home, she wrote. Home ownership rates for households aged 25 to 34 began to decline close to 40 years ago. Declines for those aged 35 to 44 followed a decade later, Dr. Yates told Fact Check. The census data showed there had been a big fall from 2006 to 2016, but of the same order of magnitude as that from 1986 to 1996. She was cautious about what the recent drop meant. It's hard to say whether the decline is accelerating or whether cyclical economic factors came into play on top of the broad trend outcomes in those decades, she said. Talking about the ABS survey data, Professor Ong said the 41% decline since 1982 was quite drastic, but also noted that it occurred over a long period of time. Principal researcher, David Campbell. Fact Check at rmit.edu.au. Source: Chris Bowen. Press release, January 18, 2019. Chris Bowen. Positive plan for housing affordability. Access January 2019. ABS. Submission to Senate inquiry into home ownership. June 26, 2015. RBA. Home ownership rates. June 2015. Grattan Institute. Housing affordability. Reimagining the Australian dream. March 2018. Senate inquiry into housing affordability. Final report, May 8, 2015. Parliamentary Library, Trends in Home Ownership. June 28, 2017. Terry Burke. Generational Change in Home Purchase Opportunity in Australia. In November 2014. Judith Yates, explainer, What's Really Keeping Young Buyers Out of the Housing Market? August 12, 2015. Rachel Ong, The Facts on Australian Housing Affordability. June 12, 2015. ABS, User Guide to SIH&T Surveys. 2015-16. ABS, Housing Occupancy and Costs, 2001 to 2005-06.